Alright, check this out. This photo shows Joseph Stalin and he's actually goofing around. It's kind of surprising, you know? You don't really picture him like that. This photo shows 3 people, all wearing face masks. It was taken during the second wave of the Spanish flu in California back in 1918. This photo shows 3 young boys having a blast in a wagon. They're on a street in a Pittsburgh neighborhood, probably sometime between 1920 and 1930. Alright, check out this photo, it's called Don't Mess with Granny. Here's a photo of Alice Doherty. This was taken back in the early 1900s, when she was just a teenager, posing with her family. Alright, here's a blast from the past. This photo shows a couple of teenagers on a date back in the 1950s. Alright, check this out. This old photo is titled Sent the Crumb Snatcher to Grandma's. It shows a postman carrying a baby in his mailbag. Can you believe that? This was back in 1913, when you could actually and legally send children through the US Postal Service. Wild. A really interesting prototype. It looks like an early motorcycle, but with a horse-drawn carriage design. This was made back in the early 1900s. The Gentleman's Guide to Self-Defense. It's from 1895. Here's a photo of a man holding a crumlauf. It was a pretty wild piece of tech, an experimental curved rifle barrel attachment. The Nazis cooked it up during World War II, hoping it would let them shoot around walls and over barriers. Pretty clever, huh? Alright, check out this photo from 1958. It shows a prisoner being used to test out some safety nets, you know, before they started making them available for everyone. Pretty wild, right? Here's a shot of Madame Asta Souvrina and her dog just hanging out and listening to the radio. Here's a picture of little soldiers. Okay, so this photo, I'm not exactly sure why, but back in 1920, a policeman decided to do this off a building in New York. Weird, right? Get the milk. Here's a photo of people in the ocean at Santa Monica Beach back in 1926. This incredible photo shows girls being sent home from McKinley High School in Chicago back in 1946. Seems they were in trouble for wearing slacks and blue jeans. Imagine that. Here's a photo from Alaska, taken in 1886. It shows a shaman, and he's holding a man who's been accused of witchcraft. Here's a fun one. This photo shows a Victorian couple trying to keep a straight face while they're getting their portraits taken back in the 1890s. You can practically see the giggles they're trying to hide. Okay, here we go. Check this out. This is the very first publicly sold bottle of Coca-Cola, and it was released way back in 1894. Here's a shot of a woman back in the 1950s inspecting something new. Looks like she's checking out the security belt in her car. This photo is of Robert Earl Hughes, who was born in 1926 and sadly passed away in 1958. He holds the record for the heaviest person ever recorded, weighing in at 1,071 pounds. Remarkably, he could walk around without any assistance. Here's a photo of William F. Cody, also known as Buffalo Bill. It was taken in 1911. Here's a fantastic shot of sharpshooter Annie Oakley. It was taken around 1899 and shows her shooting over her shoulder. She's using a hand mirror to aim. Here's a photo showing horse training by Félix Thiollier. This image was taken all the way back in 1899. Here's a cool picture. It's of ski sailing, this brand new sport that was actually invented in Austria. It's being demonstrated in St. Moritz, Switzerland, back in January of 1938. Here's a photo of Audrey Hepburn back in 1967. This photo shows a tense scene from December 19th, 1964. Two police officers are taking a robbery suspect into custody. He tried to make a getaway using a fire escape, but it looks like he didn't get very far. Here's a shot of Sean Connery back in 1946 during his time with the Royal Navy. Here's a photo from Coney Island back in 1953. There are 3 girls on a giant slide. Looks like they're having a blast. Here's a facial prosthesis designed for a wounded soldier from the First World War. This photo was taken in 1916. Here's a picture of Saddam Hussein taken in 1963. This fascinating photo shows a really intricate restoration of a nose. It was done after the nose was lost because of syphilis back in New York City in the 1880s. Here's a picture of a group of soldiers enjoying a game. This photo was taken in 1915. Here's a picture of Hillary Rodham Clinton. She was just 22 years old back in 1969. Here's a cool old photo. It's a perfume spraying machine from the year 1952. Here's a photo of Che Guevara taken around 1934. Here's a little blast from the past. Check out this promotion for infrared lamps back in Germany, way back in 1960. Alright, check this out. This photo captures a really cool scene. It's from February 17th, 1931, and it shows a rugby match at Richmond. Before the game kicks off, this guy's hospital supporter is proudly hanging up their team's colours on top of the goalpost. They're about to go head-to-head against St Bartholomew's Hospital. You can feel the anticipation. Here's a shot of 17-year-old Pelé and Sweden before the World Cup in 1958. Alright, check this out. This photo shows the French public getting their first taste of Coca-Cola. Can you believe it? This classic drink was making its big debut in France back in 1950. This photo shows a classic bullet bra. It's a full support bra, and what really stands out are those cups. They're shaped like a paraboloid, with the pointy end facing outwards. This particular design was popular back in 1952. Here's a look back at the Flatiron Building under construction in New York City, way back in 1902. Check out this cool old photo. It's an electric bath or maybe an early sunbed from 1900. Pretty interesting, right? Alright, here's a shot from the 1920s. We're looking at a movie theatre. This old photo is pretty funny. It says, "Excuse our backs, our faces are dirty." And it looks like it was taken around 1899. I wonder what they were up to. Here's a photo from a wedding at the Heights, all the way back in 1946. Here's a look at Victorian times, specifically the 1870s. You see these public disinfectors hard at work sanitising the streets. A tough job, but crucial for public health back then. Look at this! It's a cat taking a photo all the way back in 1909, imagine that. Here's a photo from Georgia, taken on April 27, 1956. A mother and her child are standing together, holding hands and watching a cross burn. Here's a shot of photographer Margaret Bourke White, back in 1935, getting a photo from the very top of the Chrysler Building. Pretty amazing. Here's a photo of the legendary Soviet Georgian water polo player Petrem Shveniradze, and he's with his grandson. This photo was taken in 1990. This is a great old photo of ticker tape operators back in 1915. You can see them hard at work on the New York Stock Exchange. They look pretty focused, diligently sending out those stock prices. Here's a peek at the Tower Bridge in London, back in the year 1889, when it was still under construction. Here's a cool picture. It's a Rudge Whitworth canoe sidecar from the 1920s. Here's what we've got, an illusionist. This incredible photo shows a massive railway gun getting ready for the invasion of Poland. It was taken in September 1939. Pretty intense stuff. Here's a photo of a geisha, right after she's washed her hair before getting it styled. This was taken in Japan back in 1905. Here's a fun one. This photo shows Groucho Marx and Lucille Ball goofing off at the CBS KNX radio studios back in 1945. Here's a shot of men at work from the 1910s. It's 1943 in Washington, D.C., and these massive lorries are working hard, hauling enormous logs. Alright, check this out. This photo shows a guy just casually riding an ostrich. Can you imagine? Pretty wild, right? Here's a picture of a young girl in England, probably sometime between 1890 and 1910. She's wearing prosthetic legs. Isn't that amazing? Alright, here's a picture of a boy with a horse. Pretty classic, right? Here's a photo of someone saving Teddy during the 1941 Blitz of Liverpool. This picture shows a child coal miner from around the year 1900. Here's what we've got. The Albertina Rash girls cast a long, alluring shadow on the floor. This was taken on the 14th of February 1933. They were performing in a show called Wild Violets at Drury Lane. Here's a cool old photo of an exercise machine. This thing was designed to roll the fat out of your legs. The picture was taken way back in 1936. Here's a photo of Burmese women in London taken in the year 1935. Alright, here's the deal. Check out this amazing photo of Granny. She's holding her prize-winning marijuana plant at the California City County Fair, all the way back in 1973. She actually won first prize. Pretty cool, huh? Here's a picture of Walt Disney when he was 29 years old. Alright, let's take a look at these funny captions. This photo shows the damage syphilis can inflict on a person's face as the disease progresses. Here's a cool old photo. It features Jack Dempsey, Harry Houdini, and Benny Leonard. It looks like it was taken sometime in the 1920s. Check out this amazing photo of a giant snowman in Aberdeen, Scotland from the year 1963. It looks like this dog has something to say. A pyramid in Moscow from 1954. Here's a picture of a girl doing the Lambeth Walk. It was a super popular dance craze back in the late 1930s. Here's a photo of Edith Wharton taken around 1890. Here's a shot of a group of boys playing among the tombstones. This was taken in Gorbals, Glasgow back in 1948. This sweet photo shows a girl with her kitten. It was taken way back in 1931. Here's a picture of a terribly thin boy. It was taken during the Dutch famine, also known as the Hunger Winter, in the Netherlands during World War II. The photo was taken around 1944. Here's a photo from around 1900, showing couples dancing in the grand foyer of the Paris Opera House. It looks like they're at a victory ball. What a scene! Here we see a lovely photo of Northern European children celebrating Fastelavn. This photo shows a man floating in the Dead Sea. He's got a book and an umbrella and just looks incredibly relaxed. The picture was taken way back in 1920. Here's a photo of a young girl with a cleft lip. You can see her jaw and teeth. The photo was taken sometime between 1890 and the 1910s. Here's a great shot. It's the world's smallest man, and he's dancing with his pet cat. This photo was taken on the 26th of October 1956. This photo shows a dangerous crossing from the year 1956.